Gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gohmert, for 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for being here. I was part of a hearing some years back in California, a field hearing before the NBC Comcast merger, and there were questions raised, concerns about potential for hurting compatibility. But since then, more recently, it was reported, of course, people took note that Al Gore was pushing the sale of Current TV, and Glenn Beck, the Blaze, were trying to buy it. And it was reported that Al Jazeera wanted to get their Sharia law push into the United States, and they were willing to pay big bucks, regardless of whether they had oil and carbon all over the money. They were willing to pay big dollars, but they wouldn't do the deal unless Comcast was willing to keep them in its list of networks provided. So it was reported Comcast agreed, so Al Gore got all that oil and carbon-based money. And then that kept Glenn Beck off the air and of Comcast. Then more recently, the Blaze has been trying to purchase another network that was reported to owe $20 million to Comcast, but that the feeling by some within Comcast was so strong about keeping Glenn Beck off the air that some reportedly were willing to forego $20 million that the Blaze offered to pay of this network's debt owed to Comcast just to keep them off the air. Now, I have no idea who the network is. They won't say. They have some kind of deal about that. But I was given a blurb from an email that indicates, and this is an email from somebody at whatever network it is, it's somebody at the Blaze. It says, I want the ability to argue for Comcast. He's trying to get the deal accepted by Comcast, that they will not have to put, quote, Glenn Beck on the air prior to the 2014 election cycle, unquote. That may sound hard-nosed, but inside of that organization, talking about Comcast, there are some people who will see it that way. So December 1st accomplishes that. So that would get the deal after the November elections. And this blurb was provided. There is too big a risk, in my view, of getting a flat no from Comcast if they smell the possibility that you intend to use the full Blaze platform to influence the American voters this November. Sorry, that's how they feel about you. I don't, but they do, and they're the ones who have to approve it. Now, we heard Mr. Jeffries appropriately. He's a smart guy. He brought up the issue of fiduciary duty. And I'm wondering how strong the feeling within Comcast of their fiduciary duty to stockholders is for monetary gain as opposed to political achievements of keeping conservatives off the air. We've heard the discussion about rural not being part of the push by Comcast. And I get that. Why would Comcast want people that cling to God and their guns? But what we're talking about here is a very serious issue if we're at the point where there is so much power within Comcast that they can say, we're not going to accept the point where there is so much power within Comcast that they can say, we're not going to accept the $20 million that will help Comcast because we don't want Republicans having conservatives talking on the air between now and then. Mr. Cohen, do you have a comment?
Oops, sorry. Should I do Al Jazeera Current first, and then I'll do the Blaze?
No, I don't think you need to comment on that. Let's talk about the Blaze and your feeling personally.
I don't think I have a problem identifying the network. I'm musing about this.
Well, I have no
But it's
idea who it is.
because it's interesting, that network happens to be RLTV, which comes up in the discussion around RFD as well. That's a network in which we have an 8% ownership interest. We have no management rights. We have no ability to control the sale of that network. You're reading
No,
from an
the
email.
issue
Hold on.
is, do you allow the purchaser to continue to be on Comcast?
Right,
Because that can kill the deal just like Al Jazeera
The
would have
question
killed.
is the content description under the RLTV contract with us. And that is a content description that does not include news coverage or political commentary. So, but let me be clear. You read an email, presumably from someone at RLTV, who's allegedly reflecting the position of someone at Comcast. I will represent to you, and I will tell you right now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to confirm this. I will represent to you that there is no judgment being made about carriage of the Blaze based upon political perspective, and certainly absolutely no judgment about whether that network should be on our cable systems before or after the election.
Mr. Cohen, you're a smart man and apparently a smart attorney. You understand the consequences of not speaking truthfully before Congress.
I do.
Thank you. I see my time's expired, and I look forward to you having that conversation at Comcast.